Hey, it is the journey of a screenwriter, and we're up to day 119. Ooh, look at this. It looks like I'm actually writing today, as in a screenplay. So, this is very interesting because I remember kind of thinking that I needed to get writing again. And, but I don't know if this is very interesting. Um, Let me just watch and read with you for a moment. Kind of have a strange feeling that this maybe 11. No, that's right. November 13th. That's correct. That's almost a month ago. So what am I doing here? Because I don't, spoiler alert, I did change a few little things in the beginning. And I do remember, gosh, this is so weird. Um, yeah, all right. So this is, I talked to one of my sons and he said, Dad, the script you have is pretty good. So don't go wrecking it. Just fix some things. So I kind of took that to heart and I kind of got away from the whole idea of really, really, really completely changing things. Having said that, um, I know one of the things the deputy U.S. Marshal told me was, you notice I changed that to CrossFit style gym. She said that in one of their buildings or one of their offices, they do have a gym like that and people work out there quite a bit. But right now, it looks like I'm just going in and making just some tiny, well, I shouldn't say tiny little changes, but I'm definitely not making the changes that certainly I have been writing about in my Word. It's not really Word, it's a open office word processing. But anyways, I'm definitely not writing some of that, but I am doing some changes. Would you hear this isn't impactful? So the idea here was that Holly, instead of being in the WITSEC program, not in it, but working for it, and having been in it ever since she rescued Lexi 14 years ago, I'm changing it so that she is working in another division, but she gets the opportunity to not do, it's not really like a ride along because you're actually doing work, but you can get a temporary security detail or a temporary assignment to help out the WITSEC division if they just need like some people transported, and or in this case they need this little girl and her mom. The mom's going one place, the little girl's going another place. So that is something that could happen, and that's sort of what I'm doing here. I'm kind of resetting it to reflect that. And so not being one to want to just do on the nose exposition, I always try to find kind of a backhanded way, not backhanded, maybe backhanded, a sort of oblique way, I'll say, of getting information to the audience without hitting them on the nose. Because when you think about it, I mean, A, that's how good screenwriting works, and that's how good movies work. But B, in real life, they would never have a conversation like this because they know their own backstories, and so they don't need to talk about their backstories. But in a movie, of course, the audience comes and sits down and doesn't know what to expect other than what they saw in the trailer. So you've got to figure out ways to sort of lay the groundwork without doing a scroll like Star Wars did. And we all know what a flop that was. Maybe I should rethink that. There is a good argument for just starting a movie off with a 45-second crawl which many successful movies have. And then there's movies like Artemis Fowl, which is a total disaster. I saw an Artemis Fowl Funko Pop, or I forgot what it was, Artemis Fowl something, and I was tempted to buy it for someone. All right, so now after I wrote that scene in the CrossFit gym, now I'm kind of rethinking this. The Paul character, and if this was indeed sort of a temporary duty that Holly, let's say she's expressed interest in being in WITSEC, and so her supervisor, whatever, Paul, has arranged for her to take part in this, and it's a very limited time thing, so she'll take part in it, and then she'll go back to her other job, but it's kind of a resume builder. That's how it was explained to me. Now, one thing someone pointed out, the whole thing about the ski mask, which I still have in here, but spoiler alert, it's probably not going to last, because when you think about it, who are they hiding from? Rachel knows that, she's made the deal, and so she knows that they're coming for her, and the little girl's not going to know who these adults are. So I'm just doing a little bit of kind of cosmetic work right here, and really not changing the story too much. What I'm basically doing, no surprise, is that I'm trying to do the minimal amount of work, because that's how us writers like to work after we've written what we think is a good script. And then we go in and start tweaking, and maybe I need to really change that a little more than I thought. And next thing you know, something else is going to happen. And that something else may not happen on day 119, but it sure as heck might happen on day 120. Anyways, so I'm not saying this is wasted time and that I should just skip this voiceover, because every step of the journey is important. So I'm just sort of kind of exactly what I said. I'm trying to see how little I can change and still make it work. Oh, here we go. First big change. Little girl goes from 4 years old to 6 years old, meaning that the time that passes will not be 14 years. It will be 12 years. And hence, I am probably going to age the young Holly up from early 20s to probably mid-20s. That will reflect the new time in the actress who I am hopeful will play this role, who is, by the time she reads this script, will be probably, 36, 37. All conjecture, of course. So you see that line, "Take me to my mommy or I'll scream until you do." The guy who read this, one of the things he said is, man, if a little girl got taken away from her mom, she would be kicking and screaming and all that stuff. So I'm experimenting with how that might play out, short of her actually kicking and screaming and everything. And now that she's 6, 6 isn't exactly mature by any means, but when you're little, there's a big difference between when you're 2 and 4, and then when you're 4 and 6. And obviously, the older you get, the more years you would have to add on for someone to be substantially different. Having said that, she's 1/3 older than she used to be, so she can talk a little better, she can reason a little bit better, and so forth. I still have a problem with hitting the end and going to the end of the script. Control end instead of control page up or down or something like that. Anyways. And I had that idea of the promise where they shake hands. I'm still keeping that, I believe. We'll see. While I'm thinking on the paper, Yeah, when you go back in and start this surgical, it's more surgical. I called it cosmetics, but it's more like surgery at this point because cosmetics is just tightening up sentences or, whatever. But a surgery is you're actually obviously doing something. You could be cutting out something, you could be adding something, you could be swapping something. So scratch that cosmetic comment and let's make this surgery. So I'm trying to do as little surgery as possible because that is the least painful type, right? In the long run. It doesn't always work the best. If you're going in for a little something and deep down inside you should be going in for a more wholesale change, then you could just be fooling yourself. Am I fooling myself? Am I kidding myself? You got to be kidding. Okay, so they still have the shake. I'm still trying to kind of not weasel in, but sort of get that idea of she asked me to take care of her little Lexi. The idea that Holly's giving her a new name, and that's not my name, it is now. So there's nothing like having a line that you really think you need and then being stuck trying to sandwich it in so it sounds normal, sounds motivated, and all that kind of stuff. So now I'm debating about whether to bring the father into this at all, because we don't know in the current version, the old version, what happened to him, if he's dead or alive, or if she knows. And then now the idea that Lexi brought the stuffed animals, save the cat moment. And so that's sort of what I'm working on there. I think this is already in the script, but I am just rewriting the presentation and the appearance of them, I believe. So she gives the stuffed animals to Lexi, and she saved the cat. Lexi's happy, and the last thing she asks is, how far is it to your house? And then Lexi tells just a little white lie, be there before you know it. She's not really lying. She's just not completely answering the girl's question, sort of leaving it to her imagination. And then when she says it's a surprise for me too, I'm kind of playing with the idea that maybe Rachel says to the little girl, hey, your aunt is coming to pick you up and take you out for a special adventure. And Lexi's like, wow, I didn't know I had an aunt. And when Holly hears that, she's like, wow, I didn't know you were going to tell her that I'm her aunt. Okay. And now I'm playing with the idea of how much has Rachel told Lexi, just that they're going on a great adventure separately, together, what's going to happen? Is her, quote, Aunt Holly going to take her to live with her, going on a vacation, going to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm? And so, obviously here, the situation is that Lexi's mom hasn't told her hardly anything. And so now I'm, completely playing with the dialogue. So it's almost pointless for me to comment on this, because as fast as I comment, probably it's going to change, because my thought process while I was writing is changing. It is funny how playing God, as all of us screenwriters do, you can literally, change the world like that. Anyways, I'm back screenwriting, celebrating, not so much. I don't know. But today was 119. We're back at it. And guess what? We'll be back at it again on day 120 of a screenwriter's journey.